Good morning, good afternoon. This is Rick, Lindy, and James Lynch coming from you here for the Senior Lifestyle Expo. Welcome, everybody. I'm Rick Lindy of Rick Lindy and the Wild Ones Band that James and I are part of, and we're glad to be doing the Senior Expo. Of course, we would have loved to be able to do the Drury Lane show that everybody had hoped for, but we're very happy to be part of the Senior Expo live stream that's happening for you right now. So we'd like to thank everybody responsible for having us. Just to give you a little bit of background about myself, I've been performing since about the late 1980s, since I got out of high school, and began performing professionally with the Serendipity Singers about 1990 after graduating from the American Academy of Art in Chicago, touring all over the United States. Then later on got into a group called Big Guitars from Memphis, where I started a European tour with Austria, Denmark, Norway, Germany, Sweden, and many other countries in Europe, and continued to play around the Chicagoland area and the Midwest and in various states. Starting Rick Lindy and the Wild Ones 21 years ago, so the band is old enough to drink. And my good friend here and partner, James Lynch, also been performing many years, been a part of a lot of really successful groups, including most recently being George in the Beatles tribute band, American English. So he and I have been friends at a little bit of a distance until this pandemic, which brought us closer together as friends and band members, now working together. And what we do is we do a 50s, 60s act with Rick Lindy and the Wild Ones that we do songs of Elvis, Johnny Cash, and things like that. So right now what we'd like to do is our little show condensed as a duo right now. We were going to come with the full band when we did the live expo, but we've had to condense it a little bit, just like everybody's had to make some adjustments for the pandemic. So right now we'd like to begin by taking you to the birthplace of rock and roll, which is Memphis, Tennessee, and Sun Records at 706 Union Avenue. Take it away, James.
Information in Memphis, Tennessee. Help me reach a party, cause I will get in touch with me. But she might not keep the number, but I know she plays for call. Cause I'm going to the message, I ain't going on the wall. Yeah. Well, help me operator, get in touch with my Marie. The only one that will come with me from Memphis, Tennessee. When our house was on the south side, and I am on the ridge, just to have a mile of road with Mississippi Bridge. Oh, let's go! She's the only one that can call me from Memphis, Tennessee. But I always tore her apart because the mom did not agree. It's her apart our happy home in Memphis, Tennessee. Yeah, let's go. me goodbye. With the hurrying horn drops on the cheek, the trickle from the rain. Marie's only 6 years old, information clean. Try to put me through the hurry in Memphis, Tennessee. Oh, damn. Memphis, Tennessee, the birthplace of rock and roll. And some of you know the story about how it all began. There was a gentleman by the name of Sam Phillips that started a recording studio called Memphis Recording Studio in Memphis, Tennessee. It's still there. It's a museum right now. It's part of a great tour in Memphis with the whole Elvis Presley vibe that you can go and do. But the history is there. Many people got their start at Sun Records, which was a little bit of a local recording studio, but it gave the launching pad to people like Elvis, and many people in the blues, country, and of course Elvis, of course, being the one that we're talking and focusing on right now. Of course, yesterday was the 43rd anniversary of his passing. Sadly, he's been gone longer than he was here for 42 years. But he got a start, and his very first successful recording at Sun was done on July 5th, 1954, when he was teamed up with Scotty Moore and Bill Black, guitarist and bass player from the Starlight Wranglers, was the name of a country band they were part of. And Sam thought that he'd be a good team for Elvis. So Scotty and Bill started playing around with this little tune here, and Elvis said, let's do this song, Arthur Crudup blues song, a little song called That's All Right Mama. Now that song there, That's All Right Mama, had so much attention when it was put on WHBQ by Dewey Phillips, no relation to Sam. And all along the South, people started knowing about Elvis, Scotty, and Bill. And back then, they didn't call it rock and roll music. They called it country bebop, and then eventually rockabilly. And then, of course, rock and roll developed. So, sorry, need a little bit of water here today. And secondly, I'd like to introduce everybody to my living room.
where I'm filming this right now, this beautiful backdrop here is my fireplace, and you know, we're trying to make a little bit more a homey environment for everybody today. It's better than a blank wall, right? So, I was told to make this a very comfortable, laid-back performance here. And so back to Elvis. Elvis, as we know, started at Sun, then he went to RCA Studios with the help of Colonel Tom Parker, who discovered Elvis on something called the Louisiana Hayride, which was a radio program broadcast in the South. And the way that he affected the crowd and the audience was something that brought a lot of attention to Colonel Tom, who was at the time managing Hank Snow, a huge country western star at the time, and Eddie Arnold, who was known as the gentleman crooner of country. But Elvis's contract was purchased for $30,000, which back doesn't sound like a lot of money now. You can barely buy a really nice car for that. But $30,000 in the 50s was a heck of a lot of money. Some of you probably remember the 50s pretty well. And I'm probably telling you stories you already know. But I'd like to get into detail about the music and how it all developed. Some of you don't know that. So in December of 1955, Elvis's contract was purchased. By January of 1956, Elvis was recording in the RCA Studios. And one of the biggest hits that he had was a song written by an artist named Otis Blackwell. And Otis Blackwell was dared to write a song about a bottle of Pepsi, and this song developed. A little song called All Shook Up. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, it will bless my soul, what's wrong with me? I look to like a man, a fuzzy tree. My friends say I'm happy, why does the ball let it go? I'm all shook up, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, and my hands are shaking, my leaves away. I can't seem to sing hello, I want you to. Where do you go when you have such a lovely love? I'm all shook up, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, please stop when there's what's on my mind. I'm a little mixed up, but I'm good back. When I met a girl, and I love this, my heart beats so it scares me to death. Would you talk about that? Sure I've got a little so loud, but I can't go inside. I'm proud to say this is mine, but I can't go into the world. I'm all shook up, yeah, yeah, yeah. The tongue gets down when the tongue is speak. My inside shaking like a lemon tree. There's only one friend of most power in mine. As I have that girl and love so fine. When she took my oh, should I die? Her lips are like the volcano inside. I'm proud to say that she's mine, but I can't believe her. I'm all shook up, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, the tongue gets tired when it's trying to speak. My inside shaking like a lemon tree. There's only one thrill for the smiley in mine. As I have that girl and love so fine. When she's mine, oh, girl I've got. Her lips so like a volcano inside. I'm proud to say that she's mine, but I can't believe it. I'm all shook up, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. I'm all shook up.
All Shook Up, of course, one of his busiest and biggest records of 1956, Elvis there. Now, of course, others got their start at Sun Records too. Out of the Air Force, a man from Arkansas, known as the Man in Black. Of course, we're talking about Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash got his start in music young, of course, singing gospel at the family piano. And his mother was very musical and instrumental. He's known some tragedies in his life before he was even 10 years old, when his beloved older brother, Jack, was hurt in an accident cutting some wood trying to make money for the family. His saw was sliced all the way from his belly button all the way up to his rib cage. And poor Johnny lost his brother at a young age. Caused a lot of pain for him and his family, but it also gave a lot of foundation for some really meaningful songs, and also a very big bond with the Lord, and he had a lot of gospel in his music. But of course, he was also known for performing at prisons, and he became fascinated with prison when he saw a film called Inside the Walls of Folsom Prison while he was in the Air Force in 1955 in Germany. And when he came back, he moved to Memphis with his wife, and he had a baby on the way. And he went to Sam Phillips and recorded some songs. And one of the ones that he recorded was this next one. We're going to do a little song called Folsom Prison Blues.
I hear the train coming, it's rolling around the bend, and I ain't seen the sunshine since I don't know when, but something cold in prison, and time gets dragged on. But the train keeps moving, all down the sand and our tongue. Yeah! When I was just a baby, my mama told me, son, always be a good boy, don't ever play the gun. And I shot a man in Reno just to watch him die. When I hear that train coming, I hang my head and cry. Oh, man. This rich folks eating their romance and downfall, and upon the drinking coffee and smoking big cigars. But I know I had coming, but I know I can't be here. Yeah! But those strings keep it coming, and that's what yours is me. Oh, let's go! From this prison, that railroad train is mine. I'm moving on a little farther down the line. Far from Folsom Prison, that's where I want to stay. And I bet they want to whistle, blow my blues away. Yeah!
Johnny Cash here for you, everybody. I was lucky enough to meet Johnny twice in my life, so I always include him in the show. Another artist that was a cotton picker and a guitar picker from Tennessee, songwriter, also a good friend of Johnny Cash, and later on played lead guitar for Johnny. Was a star in his own right. He wrote some of the most popular songs in rock and roll history, like Blue Suede Shoes. We're talking about Carl Perkins. And I know Carl Perkins is a big influence on James's guitar playing, and been a big influence on a lot of artists, including the Beatles and many more. So we have a little medley here of, guess what? Carl Perkins.
Well, I can see if you want to put the matchbox on my clothes. Well, I can see if you want to put the matchbox on my clothes. But I ain't got no matches to shut down on and go. and then you don't need no bill. Just a handful of nickels as you box will give you a bill. Well, all my friends are popping pills, and must be going round. Well, all my friends got rhythm and blues, and must be going round. I love you, I must you live around. I take my death. Get ready, now go, can't go, but don't you? Instead of appreciate you. We can do anything, but they won't go out and appreciate you. We can knock it down, sell my face, sell my name all over the place. Do anything that you want to do. Hardly hope for them shoes are done. Instead of appreciate you. Lay on the line with church. All rock and roll James and Ray. We can burn my house, steal my car, drink my liquor from a grapefruit jar. Do anything that you want to do. For them shoes and guns, instead of appreciate you. We can do anything, but they all come out and appreciate you. Well, it's blue, blue, blue suede shoes, blue, blue, blue suede shoes, blue, blue, blue suede shoes, yeah, blue, blue, blue suede shoes. You can do anything, but they all come out and appreciate you. Little blue suede shoes. The song went to the top with both Carl Perkins and Elvis recording it. And both of them were on national TV singing it. And of course, it remains in many archives of being one of the best rock and roll songs ever. Right now, we'd like to do a little spot on an artist that was from the little bitty town called Wink in Texas. Wink, Texas is so small that when you drive through Wink and you blink, you'll miss Wink. So, kind of funny. Sounds funny, but it's really true. And it is the birthplace for one of the best singers in music history. We're talking about the late, great Roy Orbison. Now, Roy Orbison, he was a little bit of an awkward teen. Nowadays, I guess he would be called a nerd, right? He's kind of a little bit of a nerd. But he overcame that nerdism and became a rock and roll star. So it just shows you rock and roll can do a lot for everybody. He started out poor. He was so poor he lived in an oil town. And his father was an oil worker. And they lived inside this big tin house that used to be an oil drum that they made a little door and window. So I'm talking about poverty. And but Roy started a little band called the Tin Kings, and he had a little hit song that was originally recorded at a studio called Norman Petty Studios. He met Johnny Cash along the way when Johnny Cash came to Texas. Said, "Johnny, how do I get on Sun Records?" And he says, "Well, that's easy. Just tell him Johnny Cash sent you. Give this guy Sam Phillips a call." So Roy picked up the phone call up and talked to Mr. Phillips. He says, "Mr. Phillips, Johnny Cash sent me." He says, "Johnny Cash doesn't run my records business," and hung up the phone on Roy Orbison. So Roy went to Norman Petty Studios and recorded a little song called Ooby Dooby. Now, Ooby Dooby became a little bit of a mild hit in Texas, and he mailed a copy to Sam Phillips. Sam said, "Get over here, let's record your son." So that got a start at Sun Records, and he did some rockabilly stuff there. Then later went to Monument Records to record these songs, like one of my favorites, this song called Crying. Hope you enjoy. 1, 2, 3. I was was over for a while. I could smile for a while, but I saw you last night. You held my hand so tight as you stopped to say hello. Oh, you wish we were. You could that I can cry over you, cry over you, and you said so long, let me stand here all alone and don't cry, cry, cry. Crying sorrow, understand the touch of your hand can start to cry. I thought that I was over you, but it's true, so true. I love you even more than I did before, but darling, what can I do when you love me? And I always be over you. Yes, I know, and from this moment on, I'll be crying, 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 oh,
And of course, Roy Orbison, well known not only for the beautiful ballads like Crying, but this song that goes out to all the pretty ladies out there.
pretty woman, walking down the street, pretty woman, you're kinda like to me, pretty woman. I believe you're not true, don't look as good as you, guess I'm going home and sleep. And we took on all night, but what do I see? Yeah. Is she walking back to me? Yeah, she walking back to me.
All right. Well, Pretty Woman, of course, was a #1 hit for Roy in 1962. He had a string of them before that anyway. And of course, Roy Orbison also made a comeback in the late 80s, just before his untimely passing at the age of 52, which was sad in December of '88. There is a rock and roll star that's still alive today that was got his launching pad at Sun Records, and we're talking about Jerry Lee Lewis. Jerry Lee Lewis, well known for his wonderful piano playing, and also for marrying his 13-year-old cousin, which was pretty odd. Of course, back in those days in the South, that's something that wasn't that uncommon. And but nowadays, I guess it's definitely unheard of. But it's something that impacted Jerry's career a little bit, but not enough for him to make a comeback. He had lots of hits with lots of songs. Great Balls of Fire, Whole Lot Shakin'. And this little song here that's one of my favorites, a little song called High School Confidential.
Hold up, baby, it's your love upon me, that's a knockin'. Why don't you listen to me, sugar, ever after that by high school rockin'? Come on, get your rockin' shoes. What the jukebox supposed to be? Everybody rockin', everybody bobbin', up into the high school house. Well, I'm rockin' at the high school house. Moving at the high school house. Moving at the high school house. Well, I'm moving at the high school house. Well, everybody rockin', everybody bobbin', up into the high school house. Well, come on, everybody to the movies, some good news. Well, come on, everybody, shake off my shoes. Well, my heart is in the rhythm of my soul, is singing the blues. Well, now rockin' at the high school house, moving at the high school house, moving at the high school house. Well, moving at the high school house. Well, everybody rockin', everybody bobbin', at the high school house. Let's go.
Jerry Lee Lewis there for you. He still rocks out when he can, even to this day. We're going to take a step away from Sun Records for just a little bit, and we're going to go to the pop music portion. What you're tuning into is the Senior Lifestyle Expo. For those of you that just joined us on Rick Lindy, this is James Lynch. We're part of Rick Lindy and the Wild Ones band. We've been going on as a duo a lot lately because of the pandemic, and we've been performing quite a lot, actually. 20 shows last month, 20 shows this month, and also some full band things that we've been doing also. We do a little show in there called the Jukebox Legend. So this is little snippets from the Jukebox Legend show done as a duo. So right now we'd like to do a song here from 1955, one of my favorite ballads by the late great Platters, one of my favorite singing groups of the 50s. Hope you enjoy.
Only you and all this world seem right, but only you can make the darkness bright. Only you and you alone. You are my destiny. When you hold mine, when I understand the way that you do, you're my dream come true, my one and only. All this change in me, but it's true. You are my destiny. When you hold mine, well, I understand the man that you do. You're my dream come true, well, I want and only you.
Only You, of course, made a #1 hit in 1955. Lots of other artists came along at different recording places, recording studios, including this gentleman here who's always been one of my favorites, Del Shannon. A little song called Runaway that everybody seems to love and loves to sing along with. So sing along at home here. I know the Senior Expo is a wonderful place to get information for seniors on many different aspects of life being a senior. Cool networking things that can introduce you to lots of new ideas and programs that can help you. And of course, Rick, Lindy and the Wild Ones is a band that a lot of seniors like to come and see because we do 50s and 60s. You can check us out at www.thewildonesband.net, thewildonesband.net. You can also Google Rick Lindy and a lot of stuff will come up. And probably one of the first things is our website. You can also check us out on Facebook, Rick Lindy and the Wild Ones Band. If you can give us a like by just clicking that thumbs up, we'd appreciate it. Now, without further ado, a little Del Shannon.
As I walk along, I wonder the things we've done together, all our hearts together. Well, I'm walking in the rain, just walking up this lane, wishing you were here out there to have this misery and wonder. A song that people still love to play. This next song here is done. We can't really do a tribute to 50s and 60s legends of rock and roll and jukebox legends without mentioning the name Bill Haley. Bill Haley in the Comets came in the scene actually in the late 40s. He had a group called Bill Haley and the Saddlemen, which was more of a Western bebop group. And he had this hit song that was released in 1955, a little song called Rock Around the Clock that launched and kicked down a lot of doors for Bill Haley and his group, newly named the Comets, in the early 50s, I think around 53, when he named it that. But a little song went something like this. 1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, rock. 5, 6, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, rock. 10, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, rock. We're gonna rock around the clock. We'll have some fun when the birds are rock around the clock. Rock Around the Clock, of course, made people turn from regular pop music over to rock and roll music, and still a hit song to this day. Lots of people know it. This next song here is a
done by a very famous songwriter known as Doc Pomus. Now, Doc Pomus sadly was a person born with a handicap where he couldn't walk. He had to use braces on his arms, but during that time he taught himself and took piano lessons and became a very prolific songwriter. Many songs that are very famous, like Viva Las Vegas, Save the Last Dance for Me, which was a tribute to his wife. His wife loved to dance, and his wife said to him, "Is there a chance that I could dance with others, because I know you can't dance because you have braces and your handicap?" Obviously was a huge letdown for Doc Pomus, but he said to her, he says, "You can do that on one condition, that you save the last dance for me," and that's what that song is based on. One of my favorite songs by Doc Pomus is this next song, made famous by the Drifters and also Jay and the Americans, a little song called This Magic Moment.
This magic moment, so different and so new, was like any other, until I kissed you, and then it happened. It took me by surprise. I knew that you felt it too, by the look in your eyes, sweeter than a wine, softer than a sun. Anything I want, whenever I hold you tight. This magic, oh, it lives on, close to my eyes forever, forever till the end of time. Sweeter than a wine, softer than a sunshine. Everything I want, whenever I hold you tight. This magic, oh, I know it's all close to my eyes forever, forever till the end of time.
Our next jukebox legend here was from Lubbock, Texas, and when we mention Lubbock, Texas, we think of other people too, like Waylon Jennings, and this next artist, Charles Hardin Holly, known as Buddy Holly. Buddy Holly got his start with music and country music, like a lot of people in Texas did, and of course when the wave of rock and roll came in, he rode on that train and wrote some hit songs, even in high school with this song. In 1956, he went to see the movie The Searchers with John Wayne with his friends, who were his band members. And John Wayne said in the movie, one line repeatedly, "That'll be the day." And he said that would make a perfect title for a song. So without further ado, we're going to do it.
When you say goodbye, baby, that'll be the day. When you make me cry, you say you're gonna leave, you don't go back. Well, that'll be the day. When I die, well, you'll be only lonely. You're gonna get all your hundred years of living. I ain't too well. Well, so you tell me later, and then you tell me later that's something. Well, I don't think it's true. Well, that'll be the day. When you say Build this life, will that be the day when I die? Let's go. Say goodbye, baby, it's never be the day when you make me cry. You say you don't believe you don't know why. Well, that'll be the day when I die. When people try to start, you shouting at your heart. So if we ever come to night, we'll see you jumping, baby, and then you jump it, baby, and someday when I'm with you, well, that'll be the day when you say goodbye, baby, it's never be the day. When you make me cry, you say you don't believe you don't live life. Will never be the day when I die. Will never be the day. Buddy Holly, of course, along with Richie Valens and the Big Bopper. And the pilot, Mr. Peterson, who all perished February 3rd, 1959, right after doing the Winter Dance Party concert in Iowa. It was Clear Lake, Iowa. Very sad event that all of us remember as the day the music died. But the music still lives on. And that's one thing that James and I like to do with this retro music, is make it live on for other generations to enjoy. We do have some younger people that love to come and see the band, as well as people that are senior age that come and see us on a regular basis. And we'd like to wrap up this wonderful experience to be able to perform for you today for the Senior Lifestyle Expo, which was originally supposed to take place at Drury Lane this year. Of course, everything had to be altered to do it on a stream here, so for those of you that just joined us a little bit late, hopefully you can rewind and see us a little bit later. Once again, you can see us at thewildonesband.net. We perform all over the place, and on Facebook, Rick, Lindy, and the Wild Ones Band. Because it's Elvis month right now, and we're doing the Legends of Rock and Roll, we're going to end it with a little song called Burnin' Love. The sweet sound of
Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in to Rick Lindy, James Lynch of Rick Lindy and the Wild Ones for the Senior Lifestyle Expo. We're very honored to be a part of it. Please enjoy surfing the rest of the website and seeing all kinds of things that can benefit you. And once again, it's our honor. God bless everybody. We hope everybody has a wonderful rest of the day. And thank you so much for tuning in. Take care now.